Ready? Okay.
20 years ago, our world was revolutionized by an invention that has revolved around it today, the internet. 20 years ago, 6 degrees, the first social media comes in. Today, the internet and social medias are more than just tools to communicate with each other. They are a reflection of who we are. People use social media to let other people, followers, get a glimpse of who they are, without ever even meeting them. But social media has taken advantage of how much influence the internet has over trends and people, that it manipulates our perception of life. One thing that social media has done really well is change our perception of beauty. In a way, it innovates fashion by letting a large audience discover new styles. Although the so-called Instagram models set the bar very, very high for women. In addition, younger users are exposed to a narcissistic society. Like most of us in this room, I use social media every day, probably every hour. I came to a point where I feel the need to be on social media to be considered a normal person. It almost feels like our phones have taken control of our lives, where it should be the other way around. Social media makes us care about things we wouldn't care about if it didn't exist. Number of likes, comments, followers, as if those numbers were a reflection of how loved we are. In 2010, we were about 1 billion all over the world to use social media. Now, in 2017, we're about 2.5 billion, more than doubled in 7 years. The US population is roughly 3 million. That means you would have to duplicate each person in the US and their phone by 8 to get 2.5 billion person connected on social media. Can you imagine? How do we come to such a big increase on social media users? And most importantly, why does it keep on growing? One simple explanation. Over time, social media has become a part of our lives. Like you would own a car, a house, or anything, you also own an account. Social media makes us think we need likes and followers to feel loved. It makes us doubt ourselves every time we post something. Are people going to like it? Do I look pretty enough? Our self-esteem is constantly put in uncertainty. Few people are able to put things in perspective because what appears on our screen is not reality. A big issue present on social media are those Instagram models, who set the bar very high for women. One picture doesn't capture reality as a whole. People show what they want to show. Young teenagers are not mature enough to see the difference between what's real and what's only in pictures. They seek to look like those girls on Instagram, which do not exist in reality. However, I have come across some very inspiring women on social media, like Julie Bourges, under the name of Little Phoenix on Instagram. She got gravely burned from an accident when she was 16, and fitness was the key to finding happiness again. She created an Instagram account at the beginning of her trainings, and today has over 165 million followers. I also checked out JQ, who published an article called Our Favorite Models on Instagram in 2017. I scrolled down, and all I saw were beautiful women in swimsuits, underwear, and even topless. I see those girls on Instagram every day, but I've never seen them in real life. Where are they? This image of the perfect body is displayed all the time on social media. That's all we see, and some are starting to believe it's true. It creates new expectations for women to look a certain way. It might be easier for women over 20 to make that clear difference between what's real and what's not, because their generation didn't grow up with social media. However, the young teenage girls from today have it really hard. And still, each year, younger and younger teens join social medias. And unfortunately, those young users are exposed to a narcissistic society. Because social media revolves around how great, good-looking, and appreciated someone is, young users grow up believing it's all that really matters. Not mentioning how the shyest kids feel about not being on social media. It can bring one's confidence really low. Daily Mail gives some pretty interesting data. 52% of 8 to 16 years old ignored Facebook's age limit. More than half of children use social media by the age of 10. 43% have messaged strangers through social media, starting from age 12. Self-esteem and privacy are two hard things to understand as teenagers. Social media makes that even harder. By letting children use social media, one wonders what kind of future they are facing. Social media has become a part of our lives. More than 2.5 billion users as of 2017. It has brought innovation to our fashion world, but also new expectations as to what women should look like. With all these new apps coming in, social media users go toward a dangerous wall, deprived of privacy. As mentioned before, our social media accounts are a reflection of who we are to a certain limit. Some users share every minute of their lives with their followers to get likes and therefore get more followers. It's a never-ending circle that would leave people thinking being social on the internet is more important than being social in real life. The Instagram models are a perfect example of that. People expect to see in real life what is pictured on social media, which will never happen, since reality is different from the digital world. Once again, people show what they want to show. Those unrealistic beauty expectations make it really hard for real women to feel good in their own skin. Self-esteem is built up on social media with likes, but brought down in real life. Because in front of that mirror, the only person capable of liking you is yourself. If you're able to take a step back and realize where social media is leading us, then watch out for the younger ones. The generation after us will be facing and solving the problems we create today. So let's make it easy for them and lead them toward a society where people see beyond the end of their nose. Thank you.